Sarah Mitchell, a seasoned K-9 handler with Homeland Security, stepped off the plane and onto the bustling tarmac of Dallas International Airport. The usual noise of the terminal was punctuated by announcements overhead and the steady hum of travelers making their way to and from gates. But today, the air felt charged. Today, she was on high alert. At her side, Rex, her loyal bomb detection German Shepherd, walked with purpose, his eyes scanning the crowd, his nose twitching at every scent. Trained for years to detect explosives, Rex was Sarah's most trusted partner, and together they made a formidable team. "Ready, boy?" Sarah murmured, giving Rex a gentle pat on his back. He looked up at her with steady eyes, his tail giving a slight wag, a sign that he was ready for whatever lay ahead. Their mission was simple for the moment: routine security patrol around the airport, a necessary task in these tense times. They had done this countless times before, moving through crowded terminals, performing checks around the boarding gates, and ensuring everything was in order. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that today was different. Rex suddenly froze mid-step, his ears pricking forward. Sarah's hand instinctively reached for her radio as she watched Rex shift into a more alert stance. His body language had changed in an instant from routine to focused, as if he had picked up something that didn't belong. He lowered his nose, his nostrils flaring, and started moving toward a piece of luggage near gate 34. "Easy, boy," Sarah muttered under her breath. She approached cautiously, keeping Rex focused and ensuring the surrounding passengers were unaware of the potential danger. He stopped directly in front of the luggage, his nose now working furiously. Sarah looked around, scanning the crowd. There was no immediate threat visible, but something wasn't right. She quickly stepped away and activated her radio. "Control, this is Mitchell. We have a possible threat at gate 34. Rex is indicating on a bag." The operator's voice came back quickly. "Roger that, Officer Mitchell. We'll dispatch security immediately. Stand by." As Sarah continued to monitor the situation, her eyes fell on a man nearby. He was acting strangely, his eyes darting around, avoiding eye contact as though he were aware of being watched. Sarah's instincts kicked into overdrive. She couldn't be sure yet, but something about him felt off. The man seemed to be trying to blend into the crowd, but Sarah's trained eyes caught every subtle movement. He kept adjusting his jacket, pulling at his collar, and glancing around nervously. His actions felt too rehearsed, as if he were deliberately trying not to draw attention yet doing the opposite. She moved toward him, keeping Rex's attention focused on the bag as she stepped into the man's path. "Sir, can you step aside for a moment?" The man froze, his pupils dilating as he registered the authority in Sarah's voice. He took a half step backward, his gaze flicking toward the suitcase Rex was still watching intently. Sarah's voice remained calm but firm. "I need to ask you a few questions. Please remain where you are." The man hesitated, then tried to sidestep her, making a break for the nearest exit. Sarah's heart rate spiked. Her instincts were screaming now he knew something. The situation had just escalated. "Rex, stop him," Sarah commanded, her voice sharp. Rex was already in motion. The dog darted forward, cutting off the man's path, his body tense, alert. The man stumbled, momentarily tripping over his own feet, but he recovered quickly and tried to shove past the dog. "Sir, stop." Sarah shouted again, her hand reaching for her gun, but she didn't draw it. Not yet. The last thing she wanted was a confrontation, but she needed control of the situation and fast. With a growl, Rex stepped in front of the man, blocking his escape. The suspect took another step back, clearly rattled by the dog's presence, his chest heaving with shallow breaths. Sarah remained calm, her hand still hovering near her sidearm, but she wasn't pulling it out yet. "Stay right where you are," she warned. "I'm placing you under suspicion. If you make any more sudden moves, I will be forced to take further action." The man's eyes darted around again. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His movements were becoming increasingly erratic. Sarah's grip on her radio tightened. She spoke urgently into it. "Control, we have a possible suspect in a possible bombing plot. Request backup and bomb squad assistance, immediately." "Stay calm," Sarah said to the man, her tone unwavering. She moved slowly, so as not to startle him further. She gestured for the security team to move in. They arrived swiftly, flanking him. One officer placed his hand on the man's arm, holding him in place. The suspect jerked away, but it was too late. The officers swiftly cuffed him, pulling him toward a nearby holding room. Sarah stood at the center of the action, her mind still processing what had just happened. She watched as the security team ushered the suspect away, then turned back to Rex, who was still alert and calm, his body positioned in a perfect guard stance. He had done his job, as always. But the relief she felt was fleeting. It didn't sit right how the man had reacted, how nervous he was. Something about it felt planned, something more than just a nervous traveler. As security took the suspect into custody, Sarah's thoughts raced. Was this just a lone actor, or was he part of something much larger? She stood there for a moment, trying to regain her composure. Then, her phone buzzed again, and she snapped to attention. It was Agent Carter, her superior. "Mitchell," his voice was sharp and urgent. "We need you back at HQ now. We've intercepted communications. This isn't just about Dallas." Sarah's stomach tightened. "What's going on?" she asked, her mind already anticipating the worst. "There's a larger operation in play," Carter said. "This was just a small piece. We believe there's a coordinated series of attacks planned, and we've identified one key target. We need you to be there. We've already cleared your schedule." Her heart skipped. "Where?" "Here in Dallas," Carter replied bluntly. "A high-profile summit at the Hyatt Regency tomorrow. If these people are planning what we think they are, it could be catastrophic." "Understood," Sarah said, already heading toward the exit. She didn't need any more details. She grabbed Rex's leash and signaled to him. He followed close behind her, as always his eyes sharp and alert. The sun was beginning to set as Sarah and Rex arrived at Homeland Security's headquarters. The building was swarming with agents, techs, and analysts, all moving quickly, discussing the latest intel. The atmosphere was tense, charged with a sense of urgency. She was ushered straight into a small, darkened conference room where Agent Carter was waiting with a few key officials. Mitchell, Carter greeted her without his usual pleasantries. "We've got a serious situation on our hands. The intel we intercepted confirms that the suspect we detained is part of a much larger cell. His role was to place a bomb at the summit tomorrow. But we've got a bigger problem. He's only the first in a series of coordinated attacks. And the Hyatt Regency is just the beginning." Sarah's stomach sank. She felt the weight of the situation press down on her chest. "What do we know about the rest of the plot?" "Not much," Carter replied, his voice grim. "The network is highly compartmentalized. We've identified key targets, but there are gaps in the intelligence. The summit at the Hyatt, there will be heads of state, major corporate leaders, and key figures from multiple sectors. If this goes down, it will send shockwaves across the globe. We can't let that happen." A silence fell over the room as Sarah absorbed the gravity of the situation. She glanced at Rex, who stood beside her, calm but focused. The bond between them was as strong as ever. Carter continued, "We need you and Rex to do what you do best: sweep the summit. We can't afford to take any chances." "I'll go now," Sarah said, standing and pulling on her gear. "We need to move fast. I'll start a sweep of the building, but we have to be thorough. Time is critical." The Hyatt Regency was a gleaming tower, rising above the city skyline, its glass facade reflecting the early evening light. As Sarah and Rex approached, she could feel the tension rising. Security was already tight, but she knew that wasn't enough. Inside, the hotel was bustling with preparations for the summit, staff running in every direction, last-minute details being sorted out. Rex stayed close, his focus unwavering, his nose working as they moved through the hotel's entrance. Sarah's eyes were constantly scanning the crowd, watching for any signs of nervous behavior or unusual movements. They made their way through the corridors, past luxury shops and grand lobbies, heading straight toward the conference rooms. As they walked, Rex's behavior intensified. His movements became sharper, more deliberate. He stopped in front of an unmarked storage room, his body rigid. Sarah knew instantly. This was it. She reached for her radio, her voice steady despite the rising adrenaline. "Control, this is Mitchell. I've got a positive hit. We need the bomb squad at the southwest corner of the building. Now." Within minutes, the bomb squad was on the scene. Sarah stood back, but her eyes never left the area as technicians in full gear surrounded the storage room. Rex was still on high alert, his eyes fixed on the door as though he knew the danger was just beyond it. Time seemed to slow as the team worked. The pressure in the air was palpable. Every second felt like a lifetime. Sarah watched one of the bomb experts kneel next to the bag, carefully moving through the disarming process. Her breath was shallow, every muscle in her body coiled tight. She trusted the experts, but the waiting was agonizing. Finally, the technician looked up and gave a short, sharp nod. "It's clear," he said. A wave of relief flooded over Sarah. but it was tempered by the realization that this had only been one threat among many. The operation was still unfolding, but for now, the immediate danger had passed. "Good work, Mitchell," Carter's voice came through her earpiece. "You did it. You stopped the attack." Sarah allowed herself a brief moment of relief, but the weight of the job wasn't over. As the hotel security team began to clear the area, Sarah turned to Rex, giving him a soft pat on the side. "You did it, boy. You saved lives." The next few days passed in a blur. The media frenzy around the foiled plot dominated the news, and Sarah and Rex found themselves in the spotlight. Videos of Rex alerting to the bomb and Sarah's calm, controlled handling of the situation were shared across social media. The K-9 unit was hailed as the heroes of the day, and Sarah's role was highlighted as a shining example of professionalism and bravery. The ceremony honoring Sarah and Rex was emotional, a fitting tribute to their teamwork and dedication. The Medal of Valor they received was a symbol of their commitment to protecting the public. But Sarah knew it wasn't just about the medal. It was about the lives they saved, the chaos they prevented. As she stood at the podium, speaking to the crowd, she reflected on how far they had come, how much she had learned about herself, and about the value of her partnership with Rex. The work wasn't easy, and the threats would never stop, but she had made a difference, and that was enough. "The real heroes," Sarah said, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "are the K-9s like Rex, who every day put their lives on the line without question. This medal is for him, and for all the dogs out there working tirelessly to protect us." The crowd erupted in applause. But as Sarah turned to leave the stage, she looked down at Rex, his eyes soft yet watchful. She knew that, no matter what came next, they would face it together, unwavering, unyielding, and always ready to protect. So if you love this story, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and comment below. Your interaction helps us grow,